I was reborn along with my husband who loved me to the core in our past life. He was a brilliant and talented master director, and I was a top-tier actress in the spotlight. As a couple, we complemented each other and achieved lifelong glory hand in hand. At the moment of his passing, his last words to the world were, "I was the muse of his life." Reborn to the audition set of Michael's new play. Before my debut, all the actors were nervous, except me. I wore a confident smile. I knew he would choose me. He was mine until Michael walked past me infuriately and pointed to another beautiful face. I suddenly realized that perhaps he didn't want to live the same life as in the past, nor did he want to love the same person again. It took me a while to react. Then I realized I was at the audition set of Spring Encounter. And I also realized that I had been reborn. For a moment, I was a bit puzzled as to why I was reborn to be arrogant. I thought my past life was perfect without any regrets in my career. I was a glamorous actress who won the Oscar for Lifetime Achievement in my family. Although we didn't have children because we were dinks, I had a husband who loved me more than anyone else in the world. Michael, we got to know each other through Spring Encounter, starting as two unknowns in the film industry. We walked side by side to the peak of the film world. Everyone said that we were a combination of geniuses and an eternal love myth in the entertainment industry. The only regret might be that we were too hard-working when we were young. Michael left me when he was 60. Before he died, he held my hand and said I was the muse of his life. I couldn't stop crying and held his hand back, saying, "If there is an afterlife, I still want to fall in love with you." Michael smiled and closed his eyes forever. Not long after his death, I also passed away due to excessive grief. When I opened my eyes again, I was here this year. I was 19 years old. A sophomore at the Film Academy, about to debut as the female lead in Spring Encounter and embark on that path full of stardust. Although I still didn't understand the reason for my rebirth, after calming down, I naturally accepted it. Such a happy life, why not have it again? Here he comes. Director Michael is coming. He's here to announce the audition results. A few people shouted, and the noisy set fell silent in an instant. I looked up and stared straight at the young man walking over. He was wearing a simple black shirt, with his sleeves casually rolled up to his elbows, revealing his strong forearms. His eyebrows and eyes were a bit cold, yet also exuded a familiar tenderness. My heart skipped a beat. That was Michael. Young Michael. While a few girls next to me started whispering, "Director Michael is so handsome. He could rely on his looks. But he insists on making a name in the entertainment industry with his talent." I couldn't help but smile secretly. In a few years, he would turn into a slovenly uncle, not washing his face or hair, with a scruffy beard, always staying in the editing room. But what I loved was never Michael's appearance. At this timeline, it should be when Michael had just won a new director award, although it wasn't a major award for us Film Academy students. He was already a big shot high above us. Who do you think Director Michael will choose? Alas, I was so nervous just now that I didn't perform well. I hope I can get a small supporting role. Everyone present had nervous expressions on their faces. Except me. I smiled confidently. The more they praised him, the more satisfied I felt. Such an excellent man had only had eyes for me. Sarah, from the very beginning he loved me and spoiled me for a lifetime. And even confessed his love to me before he died. I looked up and locked my eyes firmly on Michael. I wasn't sure if it was an illusion, but his gaze also fell on me. I smiled at him. But the next second, Michael's eyes moved away infuriately. "We've selected the female-led for Spring Encounter." He picked up his notebook and said in a deep and calm voice, "Sophia." Everyone's eyes turned towards a quiet girl in the corner. The girl's eyes widened in surprise. Her face was red and she looked as timid as an innocent little deer. And I was stunned. Why didn't Michael choose me as he did in the past life? What happened? The female lead of Spring Encounter should be me. This was not only my debut work, but the female lead was also a representative role in my life. I felt strange and puzzled. Could it be because of my rebirth that caused some butterfly effect? What went wrong? In the previous life, Michael told me that as soon as he saw my audition performance, he was sure that the female lead could only be me. "Sarah, you were born for movies. Although you were only 19 when auditioning for Spring Encounter, and hadn't played a lead role yet, I immediately knew that your acting career would be limitless in the future." The words Michael secretly confessed to me later made me both shy and happy. But why did he choose someone else now? I clenched my palms tightly. And my fingertips trembled uneasily. If there was no spring encounter, how could Michael and I have an intersection in this life? In the previous life, during the filming of Spring Encounter, Michael and I got to know each other and had a little crush on each other, but due to the 7-year age gap, we didn't rush to start a relationship. What really brought us together was the failure of Spring Encounter. That art film carefully crafted by Michael suffered a box office fiasco after its release. The audience disliked its slow pace, couldn't understand the plot, and even questioned Michael's directing skills, saying that he was being pretentious and didn't understand movies at all. However, this big flop Spring Encounter launched me. Because in the movie, Michael filmed me incredibly beautifully. One of the most highly praised film reviews said that the female led on camera was like the moon hanging high in the sky. Fragile yet stubborn, lonely yet free. After that, I gained a large number of fans who loved my looks and acting skills. However, Michael's public opinion situation was completely opposite. He was severely criticized. Some even said that his bad movie wasted my looks and acting talent. I felt extremely guilty about this. So, I often comforted him, encouraged him, and affirmed his talent on WeChat. Our communication increased. We talked from movies to life, and from life to dreams. Later, we frequently made appointments to go out and relax. Finally, on a star-filled night, he took my hand. "Sarah, I don't want to wait anymore if you like me to." I stood on tiptoe and kissed him, saying, "Let's be together." And then, we loved each other for a lifetime. Why Sophia? She doesn't seem to fit the female-led's persona either. Many people around me became restless like me. The female lead of Spring Encounter is a woman with a great deal of life ups and downs, evolving from youth to maturity, and thus requires a more mature-looking face. But the Sophia that Michael chose this time has a rather youthful-looking face. How could she possibly carry this role? Michael spoke again. "We've made some changes to the script. The focus is now on the female lead's campus days. All things considered, Sophia is the most suitable." His voice remained calm as he explained. I was stunned. The script had changed. Michael continued to talk about some of the new script's content. And the more I listened, the more shocked I became. This was not the Spring Encounter of the previous life at all. A new script had a stronger story and a faster pace, almost turning into a popcorn commercial movie. This was completely unlike Michael's style. After hearing the explanation, although some of the other actors were still dissatisfied, they had to accept it. I packed my bag and walked out in a daze with the crowd. Suddenly, I heard a girl next to me gossiping. "I've long heard that Michael and Sophia are a couple at S, just choosing a person with connections, yet they still pretend to have an audition." I stopped abruptly. It was impossible. Michael wasn't that kind of person. I turned around and ran back, guided by my intuition. I stood outside the lounge. The door was slightly ajar, and Sophia's voice came through. "Teacher Michael. I thought you wouldn't choose me to avoid suspicion." I suddenly remembered. Sophia was a student Michael had taught acting before. The Michael in my impression had always been cold, calm, and steady. In the previous life, even when he was criticized by the whole network, he was always unhurried. Even on our wedding day, he just smiled a bit more brightly than usual. I had never seen him lose his composure. But now he suddenly reached out and hugged Sophia tightly. His possessiveness was unfamiliar to me. "Silly girl. It's precisely to choose you that the teacher changed the script. Can't you tell?" Sophia's tears welled up instantly. "Last month, after I confessed to you, you said we shouldn't meet again. It was the teacher's fault." Michael looked down at her, his voice low yet with an unshakable firmness. "Do whatever you want. The teacher won't avoid his own feelings anymore. But you also have to promise the teacher that no matter what happens, you'll live well." Sophia looked up at him in surprise for a long time. Michael smiled, leaned down, and kissed her on the cheek. On the way back to school, it rained heavily. I didn't hold an umbrella. The rain flowed down my hair, soaking my clothes. It was bitterly cold, but compared to the coldness of my body, the chill in my heart made me feel more suffocated. I finally realized that Michael had also been reborn. He must have been reborn earlier than me, so he changed the script and tailored Spring Encounter for Sophia again. I seemed to want to run and question him. Why did he do this? Why didn't he come to me? What did all that we had in the previous life count for? But where did I get the confidence in the right? In the eyes of outsiders, Michael and Sarah were just two strangers who hadn't intersected yet. Yes, the deep affection in the past was all from the previous life. Michael just wanted to choose a different life in this life. A life without me. While having a meal in the cafeteria, I scrolled through the news related to the casting of Spring Encounter. After Michael chose his former student Sophia as the lead of the new play, it created a huge buzz online. Many people were speculating about their real relationship and a lot of CP fans emerged. This is so exciting, an older man younger woman each your student love. The man is handsome, the woman is beautiful. The classic idol drama CP setup of an uncle and a girl. I'm obsessed. I just love this sense of immorality that breaks through reason and is let go when it can't be stopped. I stared at these comments, feeling as if my heart was being tightly gripped by something. Sarah? What's wrong? You look so pale. Elena, who was sitting across from me, asked with concern. Nothing. I'm just a bit tired. Elena looked even more worried. She was my best friend in the previous life. When she was young, she earned enough money and fame by acting in idol dramas. But in middle age, she resolutely transformed into behind-the-scenes work and became a successful producer. He always knew what she wanted. While I became more and more confused after being reborn. Is it because of the audition? I know you've watched director Michael's previous movies and like him a lot, but after all, we're only sophomores. It's normal not to pass an audition. They lowered my head, poking the rice in my bowl with my chopsticks. Not saying a word. Elena sighed. Don't be sad. I've received invitations for several online dramas recently. Do you want to go and try? Although it can't compare with big screen productions, it's still an opportunity. I said softly. My mind in a complete mess. The things from the previous life were like a movie, constantly playing back slowly in my mind. The details I had overlooked before were now glaringly clear. I remembered that in the previous life, I got an impression of Sophia not long after Michael and I officially announced our relationship. Sophia stopped us backstage at a press conference. She's only 1 year older than me. Why can she do it, but I can't? Michael was silent for a long time. It's not about age. I'm the teacher, and you're the student. His tone carried a weariness I had never heard before. Sophia's tears welled up instantly. She turned around and ran away, her back as thin as a fallen leaf. Later, Sophia acted in many plays but never became popular. I heard that she got involved with a company boss, and then was exposed as a mistress. After the overwhelming public opinion came down on her, she chose to commit suicide. When the news of Sophia's suicide broke, Michael locked himself in the study alone and stared blankly for a long time. I just thought he was sad because of the loss of a student. Every year after that, on Sophia's anniversary of death, he would go to visit her grave. I accompanied him for 2 or 3 years until I was caught up in a foreign film festival. I said reluctantly that I couldn't spare the time this time. Michael said, "You're so cold-hearted." I was shocked at that time. I wasn't familiar with Sophia at all, and accompanying him for 2 years was already more than enough. How could Michael say that to me because of her? But then I thought, after all, he made art films, and it was normal for him to be sensitive and delicate. Later, Michael apologized, and we made up. He also stopped asking me to go to the grave. So I didn't take these things about Sophia to heart at all, but now, I suddenly understood. In Michael's heart, there had always been a place for Sophia. This time after being reborn, he just wanted to make up for his regrets. He would never let go of Sophia again. But suddenly, my phone vibrated. It was a text message from an unknown number. "Miss Sarah, we think your audition performance was outstanding. Would you like to play the second female lead in Spring Encounter?" The second female lead. Elena leaned over to take a look, and her eyes immediately lit up. "Sarah, this is an opportunity. Although you didn't get the female lead role, the second female lead is also good after all. It's a Michael's drama." I shook my head and threw the phone aside. "I won't go." "Why? Didn't you say you liked Michael's movies before the audition?" "I don't like them anymore," I said with a self-mocking smile. The new Spring Encounter was a hodgepodge. Michael plagiarized the plots of countless big-hit movies from the future. In my previous life, the former Michael clearly despised plagiarism the most. He said that if he ran out of talent, He would rather be an ordinary person than do something like plagiarizing. But now, in order to make Spring Encounter a huge success and to definitely make Sophia popular, he didn't even care about his own principles. Okay. I respect your decision. Then what are your plans next? Elena asked curiously. I shook my head and casually scrolled through my phone messages. Suddenly, I saw the latest push from the school official account. The School Youth League Committee was recruiting actors to shoot a small public welfare movie. My eyes lit up immediately. Elena, I want to try this. Ah? The audition location was in the school's small auditorium. Not many people came, just a few scattered students after all. This kind of public welfare project had neither the guidance of a great director nor much platform exposure. The students in the film academy were all busy getting various entertainment industry resources who would care about this kind of play. After the teacher announced the start of the audition, I stood on the stage, took a deep breath and closed my eyes. Memories of the previous life came flooding back like a tide. The joys and sorrows in front of the camera. The joys and sorrows of those characters had long been integrated into my blood. I opened my eyes and started to perform. The audience gradually fell silent. Until the end of the performance, several judges still stared with their eyes wide open, not saying a word. The other auditioning classmates also stared at me blankly just as I started to get nervous. One of the judges excitedly started to clap. Great. It's so good. Which class are you from? How can you act so well? In an instant, the entire auditorium erupted into thunderous applause. Standing on the stage, looking at the surprised eyes in the audience, I suddenly realized something right. I was reborn, but my acting skills didn't start anew. This was the acting skills of a future triple award-winning actress. I, Sarah, would never be buried like this. In the midst of everyone's applause, my heart boiled with excitement. So what if there was no Spring Encounter? So what if there was no Michael? Sarah, was going to continue walking on my path to stardom. This life, not only would I win back the awards from my previous life, but I also wanted to act in more meaningful works this life. This was not only the responsibility of an actor but also the conscience of an artist. Just like the line in my favorite movie The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, be proud of your life. Have the courage to start all over again. I successfully joined the shooting of the school's public welfare film. At the same time, Spring Encounter also started filming. This movie frequently appeared on the top of the hot search. However, compared to the movie itself, most of the public opinion focused on the gossip between Michael and Sophia. Since the reporters secretly photographed Sophia moving into Michael's house, the two of them no longer avoided it. They walked in and out hand in hand every day. In the parking lot, Michael still had a cigarette between his fingers, and with his other hand, he held Sophia's nape. Kissing her passionately and persistently on the snack street, Michael gently wiped the corner of Sophia's mouth with a handkerchief, and then suddenly covered her whole face and rubbed it. Sophia playfully hit his chest, and Michael had the satisfied smile of a young boy who had pulled off a prank on his face. Also, backstage at the film festival, Michael, who never liked socializing with others, suddenly took the initiative to ask a male celebrity for an autograph. When questioned by the reporters, he raised the corner of his mouth and said, "A little friend likes it." The comment sections under these news boiled over again and again. He called her little friend. This guy is so charming. It's so sweet. Sophia must have saved the galaxy in her previous life to be able to conquer a man like director Michael. Our Sophia deserves it. He is a cute, well-behaved little son. If I were a man, I'd be attracted to. My fingers mechanically scrolled through these comments, each one stinging my eyes and making them feel sore. This was a Michael I had never seen before. Vivid, full of life, and brimming with youthful spirit. So, this was what he looked like when he met his true love 2 months later. The filming of Spring Encounter was completed and entered post-production. The overwhelming gossip news finally died down. At the same time, the public welfare film Moonlight, shot by our school, was released. There was no publicity campaign, no hot search topics. It was just briefly promoted on the school's official website and official account. On the poster, in front of a grade-eaching building, a girl stood alone with her back to the camera, and the moonlight shone on her shoulders. Below it was a line of words, dedicated to all the souls still struggling in the dark. Moonlight tells the story of a poor, disabled little girl from a family with a son preference mindset who managed to get into college and escape the mountains on her own. One day passed, and the view count didn't reach 10,000. And there were only a few dozen forwards and comments. But we were all calm. This was the normal state of a low-budget public welfare film. Some things are filmed not for popularity, but to convey certain messages. During the filming, all of us invested 100% of our energy and enthusiasm, and that was enough until the evening. The small group suddenly exploded. "Oh my God, our public welfare film is on the hot search. Sarah, go and check. So many people are praising your acting." I opened Weibo in surprise and found that the source of the hot search was a well-known film review blogger who had reposted our public welfare film, and the caption read, "Compared to some commercial films that are constantly hyping up gossip every day, this is what people should watch." Overnight, the popularity of Moonlight spread like wildfire. Netizens gave extremely high praise. I'm gone, I was moved to tears. This is the real art of film. All girls should watch this. Studying is the best way out for us. Many people also noticed me, the female lead, acting this well at 19. She's simply a genius. God is really favoring her. The female lead is so beautiful and her acting is amazing. I'm a fan now. More and more people spontaneously promoted it, and various highlight clips of Moonlight went viral on short video platforms within a week. The view count actually exceeded 1 million. Even the official film channel sent us an invitation when asked about my creative ideals by the host. I smiled and said, "At my age, talking about creative ideals is still too naive for now. I just want to pass on good things to everyone. Where the sun can't shine, having fulfilled my obsession. I hope there can still be moonlight." For a moment, netizens became even more excited. This is a real actor. Not aiming to be famous but to convey values. Much better than some empty-headed actors who rely on gossip to hype themselves. Learn what it means to have substance. I could tell that many netizens were making a comparison to Spring Encounter, which had been full of gossip during the same period. Michael should have been able to tell as well, but for some reason, he still liked our public welfare film and reposted it, saying, "It's a very good public welfare film. The actress performed very well. Especially well. Her future is bound to be limitless." I stared intently at this Weibo post, and my eyes suddenly felt hot. The memories that I had deliberately tried to forget came flooding back like a tide. At 26, Michael squatted in the corner of the Spring Encounter set, holding the 19-year-old Sarah's red frozen hands under his coat to warm them. At 27, Michael pressed Sarah, who came to visit the set, against the door of the editing room, his breath hot, saying, "I haven't seen you for 2 months. I can't wait until the filming is over." At 30, Michael stood at the end of the red carpet, gently wiping Sarah's eyes with his fingertips, saying, "I will love you for a lifetime. Whether in poverty or wealth." A lifetime was supposed to be so long, but he had seriously fulfilled his promise. But why was his love only for one lifetime? We had walked through so many red carpets, through the starlight, through the years, our smiles, our tears, our resonances. Our wishes for the world were all like a movie that had already finished screening to Michael. Did none of it count in this lifetime? The memories that came like a tide gradually ebbed away. The cold wind woke me up and dried the tears at the corners of my eyes. "Sarah, this must be the last time you cry for him." I wiped my tears vigorously, clicked on the Weibo follower list, and without hesitation, added the newly added follower director Michael to the blacklist. The success of Moonlight was like a stepping stone, opening the door to the entertainment industry for me. At that time, as a sophomore, I was already receiving a continuous stream of acting offers. Soon, I officially started filming my first female-led movie, The Little Tree, the human interest film about a deaf-mute female painter. The director was also a newbie to save money. The film didn't have many elaborate sets, nor any complex special effects. More than half of it was filmed in places like roadsides and parks. However, the script was very earnest, with the director's sincere heart in it, just like the former Michael. At the same time, Spring Encounter was also completed and released. Unsurprisingly, it was a huge hit, and topics about it flooded all social media. After all, Michael had borrowed so many plot elements from big hit movies. If Spring Encounter hadn't been successful, I would have doubted whether his talent had stayed in the previous life. After the release of Spring Encounter, opinions were divided. Many film critics sneered, shallow, overly commercialized without a core. Director Michael has also submitted to the market a miss completely different from the style of the movie for which he won the New Director Award. Sophia's face isn't suitable for the big screen, and her acting is mediocre. She should go and act in TV dramas to train first. But undeniably, the movie was popular, Michael became popular, and Sophia became popular too. From then on, we were completely onto different paths. I kept delving into my acting skills and never participated in variety shows for excessive exposure. When choosing movies, I didn't care about whether the co-actors were famous, whether the director was well known, or the size of the investment. I only cared whether the script could touch me. Although not every movie of mine was a hit, and some had mediocre box office results, my reputation in the entertainment industry was getting better and better. I gained a group of extremely loyal fans, and I even won my first Best Actress award earlier than in my previous life. As for Michael, things were completely the opposite of what they were in the previous life, or rather, I could tell that he was also in a state of indecision. After shooting to highly popular commercial films, he suddenly announced that he was going to make an art film, but Sophia didn't seem to fit the style of art films at all. The media caught them arguing on the set several times. Once, Michael even threw the script at Sophia's face, scolding her for being slow-witted. Later, the female lead of this art film was replaced by an unknown new actress. Although it was said that he and Sophia hadn't broken up yet, Sophia no longer took on roles in films directed by Michael without Michael's tailored roles. The two female-led movies that Sophia took on independently flopped, and gradually, she started to be abandoned by the film industry. So, she began to focus on idol dramas and frequently appeared on variety shows to barely maintain her presence and popularity. We had both found our own paths. Just when I thought that there would be no more intersections between Michael and me in this life, we met at a film award ceremony. Coincidentally, our seats were next to each other. When I found my seat, holding up the hem of my dress, Michael was already sitting there. He was wearing his usual well-fitting black suit that had a cigarette in his hand, and the moment he saw me, his eyes widened, and he quickly put it out. "Sarah, hello." I nodded and calmly sat down beside him. Before the awards ceremony started, the lights dimmed. Clips from the nominated films were shown on the big screen one after another, and there were waves of applause and cheers. "I watched your new film, The Empress. Your acting was great," he suddenly said, his voice as light as a feather. "Thank you. And it's not just the new film. I've watched every one of your works. You're really the most talented actress I've ever seen. In fact, I've always hoped to have the opportunity to work with you." I was taken aback and turned to look at Michael. The outline of his profile was somewhat gentle in the dim light. He smiled and said, "I just don't know if you'd be interested in working with me." "Director Michael, you're being too modest. You're also an outstanding director. It's just that in terms of choosing scripts, my preferences might not quite match your style," I said calmly, but a hint of surprise crept into my heart. I had thought that Michael, like me, didn't want any interaction with the other party in this life. However, he probably didn't know that I was reborn too. Maybe these were just polite words in social situations, and not to be taken seriously. After being rejected, there was a momentary daze on Michael's face, and he didn't say anything more. I thought our conversation would end there. The Empress won numerous awards again, while Michael's film was only nominated and ended up as a runner-up in several categories. After the award ceremony, after I finished the media interview and was about to leave, he followed me. "Is there a car coming to pick you up? I can give you a ride." I was startled for a moment and replied, "Yes, my assistant is coming to pick me up." He didn't say anything more. It started to rain heavily outside. My assistant's car was still on the way, and Michael didn't get into his car either. He just stayed with me by the roadside, waiting in the quiet sound of the rain. He suddenly said, "Sarah, do you know? I had a dream about our previous life." I didn't say a word and tightly grasped the hem of my dress with my fingertips. He continued, "In the previous life, I chose you as the female lead of Spring Encounter. Although the box office of Spring Encounter failed, We got along very well and gradually got together. Excuse me, Director Michael, my car is here. I interrupted him with a smile. Pointing to the white car approaching in the distance, Michael stared at me blankly. I waved goodbye to him and said, I don't believe in past lives or future lives. People should just live this life well. If you often have dreams, you might consider seeing a doctor. Maybe you're under too much psychological pressure recently. Oh, by the way, I'm still looking forward to having your wedding candy with Sophia. After all these years of a long-distance relationship. Don't let her down. Michael's lips moved, but in the end, he didn't say anything. The moment I closed the car door, I finally let out a sigh of relief. My assistant asked curiously, Sis, what did Director Michael say to you? Did he invite you to act in a film? Nothing much. Just some casual chat. The car gradually drove into the rain curtain, and the streetlight blurred in two hazy spots in the rain. I felt a bit uneasy. What did Michael mean by saying these things to me? My unease wasn't unfounded. After that day, Michael somehow got my WeChat number. When I saw the friend request, I hesitated for a long time, but finally clicked accept. That night, his messages popped up one after another. Sarah, do you have time recently? Can I invite you to dinner? I declined. Do you have any upcoming activities? If you're free, how about going hiking together or something? I said I was preparing my body for the next film and wouldn't go out. What kind of movies do you like? Which actor do you like? Michael even mentioned a lot of movies and actors first, all of which I liked in my previous lives. Having lived 2 lifetimes, I wasn't so obtuse as not to realize what he meant. That was showing his affection for me. He wanted to pursue me, but I was even more confused. What had happened between him and Sophia? Michael started to frequently message me on WeChat. The messages piled up like a mountain since we were in the entertainment industry and might run into each other often. I couldn't bring myself to block him. After much consideration, I finally decided to invite him out to make things clear. Let's have dinner together tomorrow. I really have something to talk to you about. After sending this message, he replied okay instantly, so quickly that it seemed he was afraid I'd change my mind. When I arrived at the restaurant the next day, Michael was already waiting in the private room. He was wearing a very formal suit, and there was a bouquet of red roses on the table. When he saw me, he smiled, with a hint of anticipation in his eyes. Sarah. I still addressed him politely, Director Michael. He smiled awkwardly and pointed to the menu. I've already ordered. Take a look. Are they your favorites? Of course. They were all the things I liked in my previous life. He remembered them clearly. I nodded and sat down opposite him. You finally agreed to have dinner with me. That's great, Michael said, smiling happily, with a faint hint of shyness. He poured me a glass of water. We're all adults, and I don't want to be too coy actually. You like me and want to pursue me? Michael's face instantly turned red. I smiled, picked up my tea, and took a sip. Then why didn't you pursue me when you were reborn? Why did you choose Sophia first? Michael's face turned deathly pale in an instant, and his lips trembled. Sarah, you. I was reborn too, just like you, I said calmly. The air fell silent, and we stared at each other wordlessly for a long time. Finally, he spoke, his voice hoarse. Did it happen? During the audition for Spring Encounter. It was 6 years ago, Michael murmured, his eyes suddenly filled with disbelief. Then why didn't you come to me? Why haven't you frågat session? Why didn't you come to question me during Spring Encounter, Zichun? The female lead of Spring Encounter was a character you liked very much. I let out a soft laugh, with a hint of self-mockery in my tone. When you chose Sophia as the new female lead, was there any point in me questioning you? Michael, I have my own pride and dignity. Michael fell silent again after a long time. He said softly, I'm sorry. I closed my eyes, suppressing the surging emotions in my heart. In the previous life, was your love for me fake? How could it be? How could it be fake? Michael became excited, grabbing his hair with both hands and roaring. Sarah, I love you. I loved you for a whole lifetime, but Sophia's death has always been a hurdle in my heart. I always thought that if I had accepted her and been with her at that time, maybe things wouldn't have turned out the way they did later. I didn't even need to be with her for a long time, just really face her and be with her for 2 or 3 months. I admit that I had a bit of a crush on her in the previous life, but it wasn't love. Not compared to my love for you. But after her death, this feeling turned into an obsession. We had a perfect life together. But my obsession with her didn't fade until I died, So when you were reborn, you chose her instead of me. I interrupted him, my tone calm but cold. You wanted to live a different life, Michael. No. Michael shook his head. I just wanted to be with her for 2 or 3 months at that time, really after we got together. I found that our preferences and outlooks on life didn't match. I tried to break up several times, but Sophia was very fragile, and I was afraid she'd do something stupid. Until half a year ago, after another big argument, I finally couldn't take it anymore. I couldn't sacrifice my own life for hers. I had also made her famous. I had done my best. I didn't want to sacrifice my love for her, Sarah. I love you, only you, always you. Whose eyes were red, but there was no ripple in my heart. Michael, don't deceive yourself. I said softly with a hint of pity in my tone. You just experienced the goodness of the red rose, so in this life, you wanted to try the white rose, but after finding that the white rose isn't as good, you want to come back and pursue the red rose again. But why should I wait for you? Michael was stunned, his eyes filled with shock and pain. I picked up my bag and stood up, my tone calm but firm. Michael, love isn't an experiment. You can't just try different flavors because you've tasted one kind of sweetness, and then come back for the sweetness again. I'm not a tool for your perfect life. I won't be here waiting for you forever. I have my own life and my own path, and you've already made your choice. Goodbye now. Let's not meet again. Sarah and Michael in this life had no intersection in the past. And there won't be any in the future either. I turned around and left. When I pushed open the door of the private room, the cold wind rushed in, scattering the rose petals on the table just like those sealed away memories. They would eventually be scattered in time.